She thought the next $50,000 would be the bridge to her happiness, but she eventually learned that you can't buy back a life you've already burned to the ground. In the world of high-end recruitment, we see a specific phenomenon. We call it the wealth mirage. It happens to the top 5% of earners. These are people who have won the game. They have the titles, they have the equity, they have the 7-figure net worth, but they are miserable. They come to us asking for more money. They think a bigger number will finally make the weight feel lighter. But money wasn't the problem, and money won't be the solution. It was 2018. She was 41 years old. She was a partner at a top-tier management consultancy. She was a specialist in corporate restructuring. She was brilliant. She was ruthless. She was earning $480,000 a year. Her life was a masterclass in luxury. She lived in a penthouse with a view of the park. She drove a car that cost more than most people's houses. Her children went to the best private schools. On paper, she was the definition of success. She was the woman every MBA student wanted to be. But her reality was a series of tinted windows and fluorescent lights. She lived her life in 15-minute increments. Her calendar was a war zone. She hadn't eaten a meal without checking her phone in 5 years. She hadn't seen her children wake up in 3. She was a ghost in her own home. She was a high-performance machine fueled by black coffee and sheer willpower. She called me on a Tuesday night. It was 11 p.m. She was in a hotel room in Singapore. She told me she wanted to move. She told me she was undervalued. She said she wanted a role that paid $600,000. She thought the extra $120,000 would justify the exhaustion. She thought it would make the missed birthdays and the lonely nights feel like a fair trade. I looked at her file. I looked at her life. I didn't see someone who needed more money. I saw someone who was drowning in a gold-plated pool. "Why do you want the move?" I asked. "I'm tired of the politics," she said. "I'm tired of the travel. I want to feel like I'm in control again. And for the amount of work I do, I should be earning more." She was using money as a proxy for meaning. She was trying to calculate her pain in dollars and cents. She believed that if the price was high enough, the sacrifice would stop hurting. But there's no price high enough to make you forget that your children don't recognize your voice on the phone. I didn't find her a $600,000 job. I didn't even try. Instead, I waited. 2 months later, a role opened up. It was for a chief strategy officer at a medium-sized medical research foundation. It was a non-profit. The work was complex. It was vital. It was life-saving. The salary was $280,000. It was a $200,000 pay cut. It had no massive year-end bonus. It had no corporate jet. It had no penthouse allowance. It was, by her standards, a demotion. I called her. I told her about the role. She laughed. She thought I was joking. "I told you I wanted 600, she said. "Why would I take a 50% hit?" "Because your problem isn't your bank account," I told her. "Your problem is your autonomy. Your problem is your time. You don't need another $100,000. You need to own your Tuesday afternoons. You need to believe in the work you do. You need to be a person again." She hung up on me. She didn't call back for 3 weeks. During those 3 weeks, she had a health scare. It wasn't a heart attack. It was just a panic attack that felt like one. She was in the back of a car in London. She realized she didn't know the name of her daughter's best friend. She realized she hadn't read a book for pleasure in a decade. She realized she was 41 and she was already finished. She called me from the hospital. She sounded different. The armor was gone. "Tell me about the foundation again," she said. She took the job. She walked away from the $480,000. She walked away from the partner title. She walked away from the prestige of the big firm. Her peers thought she had lost her mind. They thought she was opting out. They thought she had cracked under the pressure. Let's look at the price of that decision. In the first 6 months, she went through a detox. It was painful. She struggled with the loss of the executive identity. She struggled with the slower pace. She struggled with the fact that people didn't jump when she walked into the room. She was no longer a global partner. She was just Sarah. But then something happened. She started walking her kids to school. She started eating dinner at a table, not a desk. She started sleeping 6 hours a night. The gray circles under her eyes disappeared. The sharp, brittle edge in her voice softened. She discovered that $280,000 is still a lot of money. It was more than enough. It paid the mortgage. It paid the schools. It paid for the life she was actually living, not the one she was trying to show off. She realized that the extra $200,000 she used to earn was blood money. It was the money the firm paid her to own her soul. It was the rent they paid for her sanity. Once she stopped paying that rent, she found out she was actually quite wealthy. In the recruitment world, we call this the value pivot. It is the moment a candidate realizes that their time is the only non-renewable resource they have. You can always make another $1 million. You can never make another Tuesday. She spent 3 years at the foundation. She helped them scale their research. She helped them secure funding that saved thousands of lives. For the first time in her career, she didn't need a bonus to feel successful. The work itself was the reward. But the most interesting thing happened in year 4. Because she was happy, because she was rested, and because she was doing work she loved, she became an expert in a very specific niche of nonprofit strategy. A global health organization headhunted her. They offered her a role as CEO. The salary? $450,000. She was back to her old earning level, but this time it was different. She had the remote work flexibility. She had a board that respected her boundaries. She had a mission she believed in. She had reached the top again, but she hadn't climbed over her own dead body to get there. She called me to thank me. She said, "You were right. Money wasn't the problem. The problem was that I was trying to buy a life with money instead of building one with my time." I see this person every month. They are the high earners who think they are trapped. They think their lifestyle requires the high salary. They think they can't afford to leave. The truth is, you can't afford to stay. The golden handcuffs are only as strong as your fear of being average. Most people stay in miserable, high-paying jobs because they are afraid of what their neighbors will think if they drive a cheaper car. They are afraid of being just a manager instead of a vice president. They trade their children's childhoods for a better brand of leather in their SUV. They trade their marriages for a corner office. They trade their health for a number on a screen. The recruiter's perspective is this: a salary is a contract for your labor. It is not a measurement of your worth as a human being. If the contract requires you to give up your humanity, it is a bad deal. No matter how many zeros are at the end of the check. When money isn't the problem, more money will never be the solution. If you are burnt out, a raise is just a bribe to keep you in the furnace. If you are lonely, a bonus is just a way to buy more expensive distractions. If you are bored, a promotion is just a bigger cage with a better view. She is now 46. Her kids are in high school. She knows their friends. She knows their dreams. She is a CEO, but she is also a mother, a friend, and a person. She found her value by losing her price tag. Every decision has a cost. Some we pay in a smaller house. Others we pay in a smaller life. She chose the smaller house for a few years. She ended up with a much bigger life. The lesson is simple. Look at your life. If you are miserable, stop looking at the salary column. Look at the time column. Look at the peace column. Look at the purpose column. If those columns are empty, you are broke. I don't care what your bank statement says. You are bankrupt. Don't wait for a panic attack in the back of a car to change your life. Stop trying to buy happiness with the money you make at a job you hate. It never works. The math doesn't add up. Success is the ability to walk away from a bad deal. And a job that costs you your life is the worst deal of all. She walked away. She won. What are you waiting for? Every decision has a price. Some we pay in cash. Others we pay in the years we can never get back. She stopped paying with her years. She started paying with her ego. It was the best bargain she ever made.